Hello friends, welcome back to this channel. I hope you are healthy and safe. As we are going to discuss a very important topic in this tutorial today. And before I start that, I'm requesting you to subscribe to the channel and show your support. Also, if you're liking the videos, please like the videos. Like if you're learning from them, please like the videos. And if you are able to share them to your family and friends, do that, show your support, and please comment on the videos so that I know whether you're liking them or not. So why is today's video really important? Okay guys, today we are going to discuss about two words that are so important that they give us hope. Also, we base our goals and our aim on these words. So if you look at your life, you might have had these situations where you would have thought, if I study well, I will get a job. If I learn Python, I'll make a lot of projects, or I will have a much better paying job. Or something like, if I had $1 million, I will invest them in Bitcoin. When we were kids, we used to think, if I was a prince or a princess, I would have found, I will find man of my dreams or the girl of my dreams, and those things. So guys, the whole life runs around if. If in itself is a very small word. It's just two letters, if. But it defines where your life is going. It also defines what your goals are, and once you achieve your goals, what are you going to do with them? What are you going to do next? So why is if important? Because if describes decision flow. You base your decisions on conditions. If I pass this subject, I'll find a better job. If I let's say if a new Spider-Man movie comes out, I'll go watch it. If well, there's a lot of ifs. I'm pretty sure you could find a lot of examples from your real life as well. And I want you to practice with your real life examples and show them in the comments. I'll be showing you basic if statements. We'll be also discussing indentation in Python. We'll be discussing about different type of conditional statements in Python, and we'll be doing a couple of small exercises using conditionals. So guys, if and else, that's what this whole video is going to be about. So let's pull it out. I'm going to create a new file. I'll be naming it as conditionals.py. There we go. So I've created the file. I'm in my file now, and I'm going to show you how to use if statements, and also how to use else statements. So first thing I'm gonna do is create a couple of numbers, variables. So let's say number 1 is 2, number 2 is, let's say, 5. I think that should be fine. So 2 variables we have created, and let's get one variable from user as well. So if you don't remember how to do it, first thing, make a print statement and say enter a number. So user know what we are talking about. Then create a new variable called user input. This is how we get the input. However, we are requesting user to enter a number. If you don't know, anything we get from input statements are strings. So you have to typecast them in int. If you don't know how to do this, I've made a video previously on typecasting of variables. Please watch it. If you have not followed the playlist that I'm creating, I'm requesting you to watch from video 1 and progress further to each video, so your concepts are clear from the very beginning. The reason I showed you these things in starting is because they are kind of required in each and every video. So I was setting up your foundation. Now we'll be working with that foundation to understand further concepts, and that's what we are doing right now. So decision flow is a concept in Python, but we already know how to typecast. So if I need to typecast this to an int, I write int and close this within parentheses. So now the user input will be an integer. So if I just hover on user input, you can see that it's an int. Prior to this, it was a string. So just getting it as an integer. Now, how do we write if statements? So first thing we do is write if, then whatever you want to compare. So I'm just saying if user input plus, let's say, let's just get another one, number 3, and let's make this 20. Okay, so I'm just gonna say user input plus number 3 is less than 200. So the condition is if user input, which is something user is going to input, and it's going to be a number because we are asking for a number and we are saving it as an integer, plus number 3. Number 3 is 20. That's something we have fixed in a variable. So that's we have already created. It's not coming from user. So if the total of these two integers is less than 200, then we want to get something from Python. We want some output. So to write that, what you do is you put a colon here. It's a colon sign, not a semicolon. It's a colon. And when you put in a colon, you will see when you press enter after putting colon, the cursor is here, not in the beginning. So it's kind of like 4 spaces or 5 spaces after. It's not here, it's somewhere here. So why is that? It's because Python does not use curly braces like other languages. Python uses indentation. So all of these spaces here, they tell Python that this statement is something inside if statement. So if I write print, and I'm gonna write this number is less than 181. So you might be thinking, why I'm writing 181? Because this is 20. We are adding 20 to user input. And if anything plus 20 is greater than 200 or equal to 200, even if it's 200, let's leave the equal to part for now. Let's do just 200 for now. Okay, so I'll show you how to write that as well. Now let's say I run this. It's asking me for a number. So what do you think the number can be? So let's say user inputs a number of 55. We get an output, this number is less than 181. Why? Because 55, which is here, plus 20, which is coming from here, is less than 25. Sorry, 200. So 55 plus 20 is 75, which is less than 200. So this statement, which was inside if, is executed. So let's get another number from user. Let's say this time we get 181. So when I press enter, I got no output. This particular statement was not printed because the total was more than 200. It's 201, which means this statement does not have to be executed. So if statement will only work if this statement is satisfied, and in this case it's not satisfied, so the print statement didn't work. Now what if I get 180? What do you think is gonna happen? Nothing, because 180 plus 20, so I'm getting 180 from user plus 20 is 200. It's not less than 200, it's actually 200. So again, this particular statement does not get satisfied, so the print statement won't work. However, if you want to check, you want to make it equal to, you can just write equal to here. So it's great, it's less than equal to. So now if I write 180 again, now it says this number is less than 181 because I've added this equal to sign here. So guys, this is a very basic example of an if statement. I've shown you Python operators in my last video as well. So let's use one of the operators on the same user input. Let's say if user input percentage sign and equal to 0. Now what I'm checking here is whatever the user input is completely divisible by 2. So when we divide it by 2, is there any remainder? If you haven't watched the operators video, I'm requesting you to watch it because it is basically giving you knowledge of different operators that you can use in Python. Okay, so this is Modulus Operator. If you don't know the name, print this number can be divided by 2. Or I would say so can be divided by 2. Any number can be divided by 2 is divisible by 2. So I'm just gonna comment the top print statement. If you don't know how to make multi-line comments, you do that. You put single quotes 3 times. Anything inside is commented. Now enter a number. Let's say I put 40. This number is divisible by 2. Let's say I put in 59. Nothing happens because this statement is not satisfied. It's not divisible by 2. However, we didn't tell Python what to do when the statement is not satisfied. so it didn't do anything. To tell Python what to do when the statement is satisfied, you put in else. Again, you put in a colon, and me being lazy, I just copied it, and I'm just gonna say is not divisible by 2. So we now will get either this result or this result. Enter a number, let's say 65. This number is not divisible by 2. Again, enter a number, let's say 30. This number is divisible by 2. So I hope this is clear. Now you know about if and else. We are going to do another example so you can understand it better. And I'm going to teach you a couple of other words that we can use with if statements. So I've commented this bit as well. Now, let's say if user input is less than number 1. Let's make number 1 4. Okay. So if user input is less than number 1, what do we want? We want a print statement, and we want it to say your number is less than 4. Now let's say if user input is less than or let's just do else statement first, so you get a basic understanding of what's happening. Okay. Your number is greater than 4. Okay, so all we are checking now is whether a number is greater or smaller than number 1. So we get a number from user. It's gonna be an int because we have already typecasted it. We are checking whether it's greater than number 1, which is 4, or is it smaller than number 1, which is 4. Okay, so enter a number. Let's say I enter 3. Oh, sorry. Enter number 3. Your number is less than 4. She should be smaller than 4. Yeah, let's say say 59. Your number is greater than 4. So you get the basic gist of if else statement here. However, what if I want something in between? So what if I want an if statement saying user input where user input is less than number, it's gonna make this 12 2, just make this greater than, it's 1 greater than number 1, and user input is less than number 2. The number you have entered is between 5 and 12. Let's say 4 and 12. Or you can just say 5 and 11 because we are not using equal to's. So do you think we're gonna get the correct output now? No. And I'll tell you the reason. So let's say enter a number. Let's say I put number 10. So the number you've entered is between 5 and 11. That worked, right? Now let's try different numbers here. Let's say 2. So now you can see it's kind of saying your number is smaller than 4 and your number is greater than 4 as well. So how come the output can be both smaller and greater? That's incorrect. So why is this happening? Because when you write if statements like this, they all execute. So if you don't want one of these statements to be executed, you type Elif. Instead of if, you put Elif. Elif stands for else if. So if this is true, this happens. Else if this is true, this happens. Else, if none of the above statements were true, this happens. So let's make it 11. Now the program is correct. So it's either this one or this one or this one. And you can test it. Enter a number. Let's say 3. Your number is smaller than 4. Fine. Let's say 18. Your number is greater than 11. Perfect. Now let's say 10. Your number you have entered is between 5 and 11. So guys, remember, if you use multiple if statements, they all execute. However, if you are putting Elif, it only executes when the other statement is not true. So if this is true, that's get printed, and Python would not check these statements. If this isn't true, then Python will go here and check this. If this isn't true, then we'll go here. So always remember this difference between if and elif. Okay. Now, another thing I wanted to highlight here is I've used AND. So what is AND doing? So guys, AND is used to check two statements together. So you can see I'm checking whether user input is greater than number 1, and at the same time I'm also checking if user input is smaller than number 2. So AND is used when you're checking if both conditions that I'm mentioning here, so this one and this one, are true. You can also use OR. You just type OR here, and then it's going to check if either one of these is true or false, and then it gives you the output. So you can use AND, OR. There's in and not in as well. We'll be discussing in and not in an exercise that I will be creating. However, I hope this clarifies the basics of if and else. And like I said, I want you to use examples from your real life and make some if else statements. You don't always have to get ints here. You can use strings. But if you use ints, obviously you can check the numbers and you can make something like this. So I want you to just make some programs, practice, learn if and else statements. Practice this to see what's the difference between if and elif yourself, and this will clarify if and else and conditionals for you. So guys, I'll see you in an exercise on if and else in the next video. Thanks for watching.